Hey there and welcome. My name is Carlos Berti. In this video we're going to talk about celebrations, festivals and holidays and so on. And how festivals and holidays are so common tropes in stories and games that they are used regularly as hooks for plots. After all, a festival in a nearby town or even a holiday mean more people will be on the roads, an heterogeneous group of people that are present and present so many options for interactions. It is basically the perfect time to introduce a new NPC or even a new PC to the plot. Not just during the festivities, but also in the meantime or road going there as well. I mean, most of you have already seen A Knight's Tale by now, I would assume, and the one with Heath Ledger, and the group of main protagonists, they meet the bard slash poet when they are on the road to a tournament, which is celebrating something. So you have this optional possibility to integrate this new character to the plot. And even then, you can also try to use that to introduce the special one-shot that you planned or that one adventure that you was preparing for that specifically occasion. I talked about one-shots in another video, so you may want to check it out. But also, another reason to use them is to introduce lore organically to the plot. I mean, you can introduce ideas of what you the region produce, consume, what they celebrate, and so on. And in using the festivities and the holidays, you can introduce that as well as history without feeling like a lore dump, because most of us don't really love having a lore dump. But it's your choice. So let's try to break them down, like these festivities and holidays, so that you can try to make your own events and make use of them and the celebrations in your games. First of all, what we should think about is the what or why are we celebrating. Usually we are celebrating something that is either religious, historical, or liminal. And in liminal, it may introduce seasonal, chronological, whatever. Religious ones are related to saints, or gods, or even the region itself. I mean, in our life we have Ramadan, we have Saint Anything Day, you have Easter, even the Light Festival from Lyon, the Fête de la Lumière, is religious because it's celebrating Mary and so on. So it's still related to religion. Olympics started being a religious event as well. The other one, historical, is to remember something that happened. Not always it is a celebration. Per se, like sometimes it is remembrance, and you have a lot of examples like Oktoberfest, Australian Day, Armistice, or even fictional ones like the Day of the Black Arrow from Middle-earth. That is the day that they shut down Smog. You have a lot of options and a lot of examples in historical ones. I guess they are the most easily described in lore and stories and fictional ones. And the liminal ones are the ones that celebrate a passage of time, like births, New Year's, solstices, equinoxes, festivals related to harvest, and so on. And inside these liminals, there are different ways to celebrate some of the passages. I won't say the most common one, but a very common one is how different people celebrate the All Saints Day, Toussaint, Dia de los Muertos. So you will have different ways to celebrate or either mourn the dead. So you have different ways of seeing the same day or the same celebration, the same liminal or festivity in a different way. You have a huge spectrum. You do not need to be either one side or the other. Most of these things that I'm talking about, they are spectrums that you may try to tune better to your creation of holiday or festivity. Sometimes you may not even be creating it, but having a culture that you are putting in your world, you will find it easier to have this spectrum to try to tune how they see the same festivity that some other culture will see. it is very easy to see that with, as I remember, the one of the dead, because even funerals are not the same way celebrated everywhere. Some places they have feasts, some places they have feasts, they have something to eat. Some places they just mourn for 24 hours and that's it. I mean, you have a very huge spectrum to look at it. And what and why? Sometimes they do not match. Sometimes you will have, there are some celebrations that are like propaganda, and I won't enter in details here, but you can certainly think of some. Like, plenty of them did not start as such, but they morphed to it. It is complicated, but because a lot of them is trying to bring unity to some piece of land or some culture, you can have this kind of propaganda or even pseudo-propaganda. Some of them are focused on obfuscation. This is, in a certain way, some kind of propaganda, but it was brought to my attention that in Australia, for instance, you have Australia Day. That is the day that Australia was found. But some natives in Australia now, they are trying to celebrate or perhaps more protest the Invaders Day. Because for them, it's not Australia Day, it's not a day of festivity, of celebration. It's a day of remembrance of something that was taken from them, that is their land. And so you can see once again how different this view of the celebration or of the festivity and the holiday it may be. And just until now, I mentioned a lot of celebrations that look back. But it is important to see how some celebrations don't actually look back. Some of them look forward. Like New Year's Eve, they look forward for the next year. Okay, we celebrate the past one, but we are looking forward to the next one. As well as weddings, births, or birthdays. They are celebrations looking forward, and do not hesitate on bringing on some celebrations that are not memorabilia. They are not celebrations something that passed, but they are trying to look forward and trying to bring a new positive light to the next movement. And I could speak forever on just what and why, but the next one, and that is very important, is the how of celebrations. Because if you are trying to create something, you are thinking on how to create it. As always, I do not make exhaustive videos. I try to remain in the vague and evocative vibe. You are probably already aware of that. And I am not fond of strict rules or lists that you should tune to or that you should exactly follow. But I will try and provide a kind of framework, in a way, that you can follow or not in how people celebrate holidays and festivities. In some there is, in some festivities, so in the how, there is some festivities that use gifts, exchanging gifts. Some kind of generosity in a way, because it do not need to be particularly gifts. From whom and to whom, this may vary. Because you have like New Year's, in the Chinese New Year, for the Chinese, they use the red envelopes to give money to the younger ones. The elder ones give money to the younger ones. We have a Christmas where you exchange gifts among everybody. You have Easter, that usually are the older ones as well, giving gifts to the younger ones. You have Valentine's Day, that is between Valentines or a couple. You have birthdays, that in most cultures, it is other people giving gifts to the ones celebrating their birthday. There are some cultures that is the opposite, but you got it. That it's not every part of the world or every celebration that is the same. In Halloween, you give gifts to the kids that are trying to trick or treat, and so on. So you have this kind of generosity. And you also have some kind of generosity in another way that was brought in, I guess it was by Dale, that you have the generosity of no one should expend their Christmas alone. So you also try to celebrate that in another way, in a pseudo way. You are not gifting them something, but you are allowing them to come into your home and celebrate it with you. It is also some kind of showing and displaying generosity. And some of these celebrations, they have feasts. And these feasts is our kind of way to think not actually in a feast itself, but in a kind of a specific food. You have turkeys or barbecue that are specific. You can consume them in other days, but they are traditional to one of them. In French New Year's, you have foie gras that is very useful, that is very common to be consumed on this part of the year. But you can also find it in another way. Turkey, it's something that you have in, I guess, Christmas, but also in other festivities. So it is important to think about it. I also consider, in a way, Christmas markets as a kind of feast, because you have specific things that are presented on that, like hot wine, like mulled wine, and you have some pretzels, you have some stuff that are traditional from Christmas markets. So it is in a kind of way the feast or the specific foods for one of your holidays. And following on the next one, you have ceremonies. Some of them have ties with the divine, like in funerals or La Fête de la Lumière that I mentioned before. In the Fête de la Lumière, you put some lights or candles to pose some homage to Mary. But you also have some other that are more mundane. In a way, all the decorations for Christmas, Halloween, and so on and so forth, they are some kind of a celebration, and they are some kind of a ritual, a ceremony that you put to commemorate that passage. So you have these ceremonies that not all of them are divine, but some of them are, and some of them are just decorations that are important. For Easter, for Christmas, you have some idea of what the decorations would look like and what they are trying to bring to the table. And the last one, for me, it's kind of less common right now, but entertainment. We still have them. We still have them specific entertainments for holidays, like the New Year Eve gig. I do not know that if it's common in every part of the world, but in Brazil, it's common to have a big gig, a big show when you are having the New Year Eve. And you have other ones like Olympics or even World Cups. They are some kind of festivals and holidays that we celebrate every 4 years. Okay, so it's not an yearly thing, but that is not a problem, because not all of them are yearly things. Not all of them are liminal or chronological ones, or even if they are chronological, it doesn't mean that you have to celebrate it in the same day of the year every year. But you still have some entertainment that was brought to the table, and some games in a certain way that you can try and make. Also, some festivities in these festivals, like in the one that I mentioned, the Black Arrow Day, you will have a festival and an entertainment that is the whole contest to try and win the Black Arrow. The person that will shot better with their bow and arrow, and so on. In this, you can even make a mini game, and you can use that to play or to break a little bit the dynamics that you are having with your group and with your campaign. It's a very good way to try and make that and bring and change a little bit of their dynamic, or if they are too tense with that, you try to bring something different to the table. And to finish it off, I would also like to mention a very interesting point of view that it was for me from Dale's video on festivities. I will put the link here. That holidays are also a way to break the concept of space and time. Because sometimes someone that is really like just outside of, they are stranded in a boat. They will still celebrate that festivity because they are used to it. In a certain way, they are breaking that space division that they have with the whole world. And you have another one that is an example that worked during World War I, where people they broke the fight between the two sides to actually bring together and celebrate Christmas between the both sides. So you are breaking that, you are bringing cultures together, you are breaking the time barrier and so on to have these celebrations with everyone. And it's already a longer video than I am used to, and I think that there are a lot more that can be brought to it, but I think that for the moment, that's it. If you like the video, like the video, share, subscribe, you know how internet works. I hope that you enjoyed it. Probably you won't agree with everything, but let me know in the comments why you do not agree with me, why you agree with me, how are some of the holidays that you brought or you created, and festivities and festivals and so on. And I will see you all in my next video. So, see ya! And very happy Halloween! Or A Nightmare Before Christmas.